And there's no better place to be on a Sunday night than on Citi TV and, of course, on Scorecard. My name is Benjamin Nketia. It's been a brilliant weekend of sports generally. My highlight, obviously, Gervonta Davis versus Ryan Garcia. Much anticipated bouts eventually did happen, and boy, did Davis serve a masterclass. We'll get to that a little later on in the show. Arsenal, we give them medals on here for being the team that would beat all the small sides. They were up against bottom place Southampton this weekend, and they had to pull out every trick in their book to be able to get just a point. So it's 3 draws for Arsenal in perhaps the most crucial stage of the season. How big an effect will it have on their title charge? Don't forget that we do have a big one coming on Wednesday, as the 26th. It's a road show, obviously, for us. The Citi sports team will be at the Cosmopolitan at El Beam Plaza, Opposite Fiesta Royale. So you should join us for that one. It's a 7 p.m. game. I tell you, it's the biggest game of the season. You don't want to miss it. But there's also some skirmishes going on in the Italian Serie A. Juventus have temporarily had their 15-point deduction, or the points that were deducted, the 15 points, they've had it temporarily restored. So the dynamics have changed in the Serie A a bit. So a lot to talk about on the show. Let's take a quick break. When we come back, I'll introduce my gentleman, and then we'll get it going. Welcome back. This is Scorecard here on Citi TV. My good friends are here. Susu Graham, Coach Christopher Nimley. Gentlemen,
it is always a pleasure.
Eid Mubarak. Is that what they say?
Yeah, I think so.
Eid Mubarak to all our Muslim brothers around the world, our Muslim brothers around the continent, and of course, our Muslim brothers in Ghana as well. How's the weekend been?
Brothers and sisters.
Yes, brothers and sisters. Sorry, apologies.
Of course.
What's been going on?
It's been a wonderful week. Of course, for the first time in the history of the FA Cup, there's the Manchester Derby in the final.
Yeah.
That is what I was hoping for, and I've gotten exactly that because, look,
you were hoping for Man City?
Yes.
Wow.
If there's anything to stop them from winning the treble,
he wants the win to be.
It's Man United.
He wants it to be sweet, because if you beat Man City, it's sweeter than beating Sheffield.
Even not that.
That's true.
Even not that. The reason why every United fan will want to play Man City. We believe we are the only team in England that can stop them from winning the treble. Thankfully for them to repeat what Man United did in 1999, they need to go through us. And we'll make sure that it will not happen.
Lovely stuff there. Let's get the show cracking. Let's get into some Ghana Premier League action. Just one game for you. It was Accra Hearts of Oak up against Bechem United. Bechem United and Accra Hearts of Oak both chasing some top 4 solidification, but in the end, Accra Hearts of Oak fell to Bechem United. Let's get the highlights of that game. So 1-0 Bechem United. Accra Hearts of Oak will feel hard done by. In truth, that penalty could have gone either way. Some referees would give it, some wouldn't. Let me find out what my people in the studio think. Coach, Hearts losing this one by a lone goal, 1-0 from a penalty spot. First of all, your thoughts on that penalty?
I think it was a penalty. No two ways about it. Because at the end of the day, it was a true pass. The Hearts of Oak defender needed to get to the ball first. Because if you look at it, was more or less a race.
Yeah.
Who gets it first? Once the Hearts of Oak defender did not touch the ball, but the Bechem United attacker was the first to touch the ball. And eventually the follow through from the Hearts of Oak defender brought him down. So it was a perfect penalty. Again, what you want to say is that could the Hearts of Oak defender have done better on the tackle? I think he could have done better because he went with the wrong foot. It should have been a left-footed tackle. So the Bechem United attacker would have walked into the tackle together with the ball, and then he would have gotten at least a touch on the ball. But once he didn't do that, it was an obvious penalty. So I just didn't understand why all the players were just rushing onto the referee.
They're Hearts of Oak. They're not used to having penalties taken against them early in the game.
No, but again, if you look at the timing of that penalty, they had enough time to have at
25 minutes.
Fix it up. And they were that poor going forward They had no consistency. There was no proper chemistry in whatever they were doing. It's like they were hoping that, let's do it this way, it will work out. No, at this level, you don't do that. And very soon we'll begin to talk about the CAF Champions League. And I will state emphatically why no Ghanaian team, if we don't take care, 10 years from now, will ever get to the knockout stages of the Champions League.
It's been how many years since we've been to the group
already?
Stage? About,
I think the last time it was Brecum Chelsea
in 2012
who got to the group stage. From we are in 2023. And I'm saying that if you look at the quality of our game, the standard of our game, the pitches on which we are playing, the players we are showcasing, look, we will go another 10 years before we see any Ghanaian team. Even that, it's a 50-50 sort of thing. We need to, there has to be a complete 360 degrees turn on the way we are thinking through the game, the way we are managing the game, the way we are promoting the game, the way we are, everything that we need, that we are doing currently has to change. But on the Hearts of Oak, it was a clear penalty.
Well, Accra Hearts of Oak, I'm feeling hard done by, but my guys say it's a penalty, and that's what it is. 3 points to Bechem United. Hearts of Oak, like I said, still trying to solidify a spot in that top four. David Okulu says that they can win a title. I don't know how feasible that is. But let's move on to some continental action, and let's get to the CAF Champions League quarterfinals. Some interesting games. Simba Club were up against Wydad Athletic Club of Morocco there. Really good game played. Let's get to the highlights of that game, and then we'll get to Belouizdad versus Mamelodi Sundowns. Sundowns having an absolute field day. They have become a mainstay in the latter stages of this competition. Once upon a time, they were just a rookie club that had just been started by Patrice Motsepe. Well, these days they are doing really well. They are among the big boys on the continent. So back-to-back highlights of those games, we'll come back in studio and discuss. So really interesting games there. First of all, Simba Football Club doing their thing against Wydad. Now, Wydad have always been a mainstay, again, in the latter stages of this competition. Always a really difficult team to crack. But Simba have done their homework well. In recent times, they've had quite a number of Ghanaian players in there. They bring in a lot of foreign imports from other countries just because they have a thriving league and they have the money to pay. Coach, good highlights there. You saw the quality of the pitch. You saw the quality of the jerseys. Just everything.
Everything is different. So at the end of the day, if you look at what we just watched, the quality of the football, the chemistry in the football, the quality of the coaching. In fact, I watched the Sundowns game, actually. Full game. Everything is properly rehearsed. Whatever they are doing is properly planned. From the system they are playing, from the quality of the football to the quality of the coaching, the tweaking of the tactics. Because they were the away team, and you don't go away to Algeria and go and dominate them like they did.
African football is not there. You go away and score 4-5
goals.
It's not in the nature of the
in a place like Algeria.
In a place like Algeria, so you need to be of a certain level. And these guys are the benchmark. Nketia, these are the benchmark. This is where we strive to be.
Let me just tell you something, right? I had a speech from Patrice Motsepe. He was asked about the African Super League.
That's right.
And why it has been held up. Now, he didn't specifically say, but I know Ghana was part of the people he was talking about. He said that there are some countries they are trying to rope into the league who used to be very prominent once upon a time.
Exactly.
But their leagues are not doing well.
That's right.
And they are struggling to put up the money needed and the thresholds needed to be able to compete in the league.
Exactly.
And immediately I thought to myself, Ghana is in the mix. And because
I even saw a news story that Hearts of Oak were supposed to be in and had been removed or something. I don't know how true that was. But would you be shocked?
Did say that the countries he's talking about once used to have really thriving leagues, used to do really well on the continent, but their football is going through a bit of a quagmire. And I couldn't help but think it was Ghana.
No,
I just couldn't help.
It is a clear indication that he was referring to Ghana.
Because he's been to Ghana a couple of times lately as well.
And look, Nketia, whatever we seek to do or whatever we are doing, we are far off the pace. We are not only far off the pace, we are far off in terms of thinking through the situations to make sure that we do the right thing. It's either people are just selfish, they are not interested in the game, or they are very comfortable with where we are at the moment. And the problem, how can you be this comfortable? According to the CAF president, once upon a time, we had Kotoko and Hearts of Oak in the final
even
of the Confederation.
Even Ashanti Gold used to be dominant on the continent.
We had Hearts of Oak go through the whole Champions League unbeaten.
I mean, let's put it in
Hearts of Oak in the final could go all the way to Esperance, Tunisia, to beat Esperance there and come and win the cup here. So we were that good. Why have we been left this behind?
I mean, let's just put it into perspective. In the year 2000, Hearts won the CAF Champions League.
Won the CAF Champions League, won the
and since
Super
2012, since 2012, a Ghanaian team has not even played in the group stage.
That's
2012. And if we know, and that's the thing, we are, as we always say, we are a proud footballing nation. We think highly of ourselves. It's nice when the national team is going to the World Cup and doing things, but won't it also be nice if on the continent our clubs are making a name, that people are afraid that, hey, we have an away trip to Baba Yara. Hey, we have to come and play at Accra Sports Stadium. There's no fear.
Your thriving league is the bedrock of everything that your football will do.
And that's the thing. The fact that there's no fear for our clubs is sad. I don't even want to say it's embarrassing. It's sad.
No, it is embarrassing.
See, I'm more sad than coach. I'm saying I'm more sad than I'm embarrassed. It's embarrassing, but it's also very sad because I don't think when we are drawn in CAF like qualifying, like for national teams.
We are not anybody's
No, you see, when it's national teams, I'm sure teams are thinking, hey, we have to go to Ghana to play the Black Stars. There's some fear. But how is it that when our clubs, no one is like afraid to come and play?
I mean, if you look at the history of the teams Ghanaian clubs have played in the CAF Championship, teams from Niger,
teams from Liberia,
teams from Sierra Leone,
even those teams
beat us. They beat our clubs.
And look, and when we go back, we've spoken about these things a lot on Sports Panorama, the kind of confusion and what's the word I'm looking for? Like incompetence involved in our teams traveling. Do you think when Mamelodi Sundowns went to Algeria, they didn't have food? Do you remember that episode with Hearts of Oak going
flight straight from South Africa straight to the airport where the pictures?
Exactly. Thank you. Remember that episode where it took Hearts of Oak about a week to go to Algeria and come back?
Can you imagine?
A week to go and play a match. Have you heard of something? They sat in some airports for like
they went to Addis Ababa for a bit and all of that.
Come on.
Look, I feel like, again, look, coach always would make, a call for the leadership. I think that the game belongs to the people. The game belongs to football people, you know. If football people think that these are the standards that they ascribe to as far as our game is concerned,
so be it.
Then that's very problematic. You know, I feel like, again, if you look at the indexes of player exodus, in terms of how many players we sell from this country, Ghana ranks top 10 among the volume of players leaving. But
if you look at the fees,
good. You look again at the numbers, our players are leaving for chicken change because our players don't have value.
One of the best academy in Ghana is Right to Dreams. Today I heard something that has saddened my heart. Instead of that academy, looking at Ghanaian up-and-coming players, go to academy now. The recent recruitment,
Ivorian,
dominated French, Ivorians, Senegalese.
In fact, Right to Dream's next big player, he's a Brighton player. He's on loan at Union Saint-Gilloise.
Yes.
He's the top player in the Belgian league this year. I think he's called Adingra or something. I'm not quite sure.
Not
He's Ivorian. But so when he came from Right to Dream, what was the first thing I did? I went to Google and say, why haven't the Black Stars called him up? Only for me to find out that this Right to Dream player is Ivorian.
Guess what? The Right to Dream system, right? Very competitive. They pick about 50 players out of a screening program of about 20,000.
Yes.
And if you look at what they do these days, they have Ivorians in the mix, like you said. They have Malians in the mix.
Malians, they have Senegalese, they have Burkinabés.
Now, when you look at the trajectory to North Island, if you look at the North Island team, there are quite a number of Malians in there from Right to Dream. Quite a number of Senegalese in there. So, I mean, if your system is not producing the best,
like I'm saying,
they will not give you an eye.
Even juvenile football. We jubilated recently about the Serbian tournament, isn't it? We've not done the right thing. So I told people, look, I had about 3-4 radio stations call me to comment. I said, no, I won't come because if I do, I'm going to completely downplay and look down, brush that sort of jubilation. Look, do you think if we had taken a proper age, we'll beat the Spanish or we'll beat
Serbia 4-0
with 9 men? With that, we would have beaten the Spanish national under 16 team. No, we took old boys, old men there. So even at 9 men down, 2 men down, we could afford to beat them 3-2. And you see people, you should praise Karim Zito, praise Laik. I say, I will not do that. Because right from the base, we've gotten it wrong. Right from the base, we've gotten it wrong. That will not guarantee us a future. Because you took 7 players who failed the MRI test in the previous under 17 to go and play in an under 16 tournament. And you went and you want us to jubilate? Look, that is the standard on the continent of Africa. The Hearts of Oak, the Kotoko, the Adriana, is that we are playing the league so that there will be a winner. You go after 1-2 games, you are out, back to Bataan. When is this going to stop? Like you rightly said, the game belongs to football people. This year they will be voting. If you can vote to choose your leader, you should insist on whoever leads football in this country to put in measures that will bring your game to where it should be. Because some of us will not say green when it is white. Why would I look at a white color and I would say it is green? We were not brought up like that. This program is not couched for that. We need to say it as it is. So look, it's sad. And our game, we just what has to for Bechem. So if Bechem were to qualify or were to qualify for the any tournament on the continent, that is where they'll be playing their football, or they'll have to travel all the way to Babayara. How many people go and watch them? That is the problem.
Yeah. A lot to talk about as far as the football is concerned. Let's get to some foreign stuff now. And let's start off with that game between Arsenal and Southampton Football Club. It was drama-packed. It was a big game for Arsenal. In the end, they failed to pass the test. So Arsenal Football Club putting their fans on edge once again. Imagine doing a comeback of this nature and not being able to celebrate because you know that you've thrown the game away. So Arsenal are trying to make nonsense of your theory, which held almost throughout the season. 3 games in and not a single win.
Oh, football isn't played on a spreadsheet, so they showed that once again. Look, there were a few players I want to point who let Arsenal down. I think there are 2 players for me who especially let them down because of their seniority and their experience, were Zinchenko and Gabriel Jesus. I think Zinchenko had a few moments at the back he could have done better. I think the third goal especially, I think he could have done better on the corner. I think Gabriel Jesus missed a lot of chances. It wasn't shown in the highlights, but there's an account on Twitter. They measure XG called XG Philosophy. According to XG Philosophy, Gabriel Jesus had an XG of 1.4. I know none of you didn't see him in any of their goals, so clearly he didn't take any of his chances. That's abysmal. Then you have to talk about Ramsdale. I think Ramsdale has had a fairly good season, but I think the mistake he made and how early he made the mistake let the team down. I think it set the tone for the rest of the game. And the last player is Thomas Partey. I think Thomas Partey had a very difficult game. I think he's had 2 very difficult games. And when you are the number 6 of the team and you don't play well, it's very difficult for everyone else to play well. It's the type of position when you have a great game, no one notices because it means that everybody has had the freedom to do well and get the results. But when you don't play well, it's fairly obvious. And I think because he's also another experienced player, it was really telling. I think he had a few. I think he was completely outplayed by Romeo Lavia, who's about 10 years his junior. It wasn't a good, it was.
Romeo Lavia is a pretty decent.
He's a very good. But when you're a teenager and you are playing a man off the park, it's even more stark when you put it that way.
Yeah.
Romeo Lavia, Southampton are going down. Let's not get it wrong. I think what this game showed me was they are going down because if you take a 3-1 lead and you can't hold on to it, no matter how good Arsenal are, you are probably not staying in the Premier League. And by the same token, the fact that Arsenal put themselves in that situation makes me think it is very difficult for them to win the league. I will maintain they have it in their hands because if they win every game, they will win the league. They still have Citi to play on Wednesday. So there's still ample opportunity to win the league. But if they are playing like this, considering 3 goals to Southampton, this is a Southampton team that had not won at the Emirates since 1987. And at Arsenal, Highbury and the Emirates combined since 1987. And they nearly got that win. when I see them playing like this against a team that we can all see is doomed to relegation, I wonder how they approach the Man City game. It makes it very difficult for me.
Just talk to me quickly about Saliba and how much of an effect his absence has had on this defense, because Arsenal used to be pretty decent at the back. They were not conceding a lot of goals. All of a sudden, 3 goals, 2 goals, 2 goals, 3 goals. How much has his absence affected how and what they do at the back?
I think it's 2 things. Their high line is not as effective because Rob Holding doesn't have the pace to recover. So it looks like Gabriel has to do a lot more. The recovery is more on Gabriel. If you notice, it's Saliba who does more recovering. Gabriel is more step forward. Yeah. So now the roles, he has to play a slightly different role that he's not as suited to. It's not working as well. And I think Rob Holding is also not as comfortable on the ball. So even in, let's say, a team is attacking you a lot, that comfort on the ball to kind of put your foot on the ball, pass it out from the back and relieve the pressure is difficult for him to do. So those little things, it's just those slight margins that, so you are facing a few more attacks a game and you are not defending them as efficiently. So I think, I'm not saying that Rob Holding is that, but I think Rob Holding to come and play 1 or 2 games in a season, come off the bench when you are leading 2-1 to kind of secure the last 10 minutes, he's fine. But if you are going into a title running and you have to rely on Rob Holding, you are likely not going to win the title. I think everyone knows that's not Rob Holding's level. And it's very unfortunate that Saliba got injured at this crucial moment of the season because he's been amazing. But it's not Rob Holding's fault. We all know Rob Holding's quality. Even when Arsenal were not a title challenging team, we didn't think Rob Holding was good enough to start for Arsenal. So why is it now that you're challenging for a title, you expect him to be good enough? So it's just a difficult situation. But like I said, their future is in their hands. They win the remainder of their games, they are going to win their title. But seeing the way they've dropped points, they've left in the last 3 games 6 points. They've left 6 points on the table. And the Liverpool game for me was understandable because Liverpool's quality is undeniable on their day.
They were lucky to escape with the point.
But when I look at the West Ham game and this Southampton game, those are two unacceptable draws, especially the West Ham game.
I'll come to coach's thoughts, to coach on the thoughts for that one. Let me just take a quick break here on Scorecard. When we come back, we'll digest more of the Arsenal situation. We'll try and see if we can do a mini preview of that game to come on Wednesday against Manchester City because, like I said, it is Arsenal's most important game of the season. There's a lot to come on the show. Stay with us here on Scorecard. Welcome back. This is Scorecard here on Citi TV. Let me just get coach's thoughts on the Arsenal situation, and not even just on the 3-3, but even over the last 3 games. 3 goals conceded against Southampton, 2 conceded against West Ham, 2 conceded against Liverpool.
Yeah, so I've been thinking that if I was the one in charge, what would I do differently? This is what I would have done differently. Point number 1, it is clear that the Holding Gabriel partnership is not working. Do they have somebody who can move in and partner Gabriel?
I don't think they have any.
I think they do. The white man, Ben White, he's a centre back. He's not a he's not a fullback.
But they don't have any fit.
There's Tomiyasu.
No, Tomiyasu is hurt.
He's injured.
Now, if Tomiyasu is injured, and therefore you need to go on with the Holding Gabriel partnership. Yesterday or on Friday, one of the things that exposed that partnership was the absence of Xhaka, who we're told got ill. So the choice of the Portuguese boy was absolutely wrong.
He looked like he didn't have.
He was completely off.
Like his level was not up to everybody else.
He didn't appear.
He just ask yourself, if you're playing against a Southampton team that sat very deep and was always hoping for you to make mistake for them to bounce, you should have players who are very comfortable on the ball. So what was the need, or why did Arteta choose not to start with Trossard? I think having Partey, Odegaard and Trossard would have given Partey more belief in playing the ball forward. Because it was clear, look, I watched the game again, it was clear that there were times that Partey had to give the ball to Vieira. He was not confident in the player, so he turned and went elsewhere. And the Vieira stayed on for close to 65 minutes. And it became clear that The moment Arsenal had to chase the game due to unforced error, if you are a manager, you need to be very brutal in your substitution. You don't need to hesitate at all. Because every game from now on to the end of the season is like a final for you. Last week, I said that they go to the Etihad on Wednesday having 2 of the 3 possible results to play for.
You have been hammering on this for a long time.
Now is one.
But on Friday, they've made it only 1 out of the 3. They have to go to Etihad and beat Man City.
In fact, if you were to add the 4 points they've dropped,
Yes.
they could have even lost and still won the league.
True. You understand what I'm saying? So for me, I like to look at the coaching aspect of it. I think Mikel Arteta has not been decent. And of course, that look, he waited too long for the Eddie Nketiah change also.
Are these rookie mistakes? Are these things that you expect that? I mean, he was an experienced player. He captained his team. He understudied Guardiola. Should he have learned some of these things?
Look, these are the sort of things that make you
a top manager,
an elite manager. I felt that if you look at tactically what Southampton did in that second half, they took off the goal scorer.
Alcaraz.
Just at the beginning.
A kind of forward-thinking player,
And they
brought
a
a centre back.
So there was no need to go only one top again. There was absolutely no. When I was saying, no, come on, if I'm the one, you should react or you should respond to that. So immediately, maybe you will give it for like 10 minutes. Then you tell Eddie Nketiah, come on, man, go partner Gabriel. Because every time Arsenal went forward, the reason why they couldn't put in the crosses, they were forced to go because they were. You see,
in fact, even when they put in crosses, they put in one very good cross, Martinelli. I don't know if you saw that, and Gabriel Jesus. So it's not even like the crosses didn't work. But if they were two targets instead of one, it would have worked better.
Made a lot of difference. Because what the substitution did for Southampton was that it gave them defensive line cover. At times, I could count. Whenever the ball went to Saka, there was one person pressing the ball. Behind that person, there was a defender. Behind that other person. So quadruple defensive line cover. So the best you can do is to draw the defensive cover away from where the ball is. And you need to engage them in the box. Arteta sat there, waited.
They looked better when Trossard came
And they looked better when Trossard and Nketiah got introduced.
2 guys who know how to move
properly. Who know how to move properly.
And if you are speaking about Fabio Vieira, because of how ineffective he was, if you know they brought in an extra centre-back, they've removed the midfielder, you can afford to bring on a forward in Trossard for Vieira because they've become lighter in their midfield.
Exactly.
And they are not interested in dominating the midfield. They've given you the midfield.
They've given it
they
to
are
you.
2-1 up. They are trying to defend. So if you had brought in another forward to kind of who's a bit more effective, can dribble, do something, you might have done something more.
You see, so for me, on Friday, look, I had lots of issues with the coaching. And for me, that was where I think that, look, forget about the mistake. Ramsdale gave it away in the very first minute. They had 89 minutes
to react,
plus injury time to react. They considered the second goal.
Considered the third.
It went 2-1.
The third was the killer.
The third was the killer. Even that,
there was time.
I mean, mentally,
all,
it's draining to come back.
They scored 2 in 2 minutes.
For me, the way the game went, the second goal came too late. If you remember, Gabriel Jesus got that chance at 3-1. If he had made it 3-2 around the 70th,
they would have had a lot more time.
They probably would have won the game.
But even at that time, Nketiah had not been introduced. That was where I had the issue. So look, on Wednesday, they have their destiny in their hands. My worry is that I think their confidence level
is low.
Did you see them at full time?
They should be going. They should have made this going to the Etihad.
Almost like they felt they had blown it.
But it's not that they felt. They have blown it.
And due to the inexperience of the manager, so this should have been a Mourinho sort of team. The opposite, a Pep Guardiola's team going to the Emirates in the situation where Arsenal finds itself. You understand? What Arteta really needs to do on Wednesday, he needs to calm himself down. Calm down and believe in your backroom staff. If you have to stand on the touchline and micromanage, you do that. But when it comes to impacting the tactics or getting the correct substitution, trust your video analysts, trust your assistant coaches, give them total responsibility to analyze what is going on. Because you cannot be micromanaging and seeing all you need to do and affect the tactics at the same time. So they've made life extremely difficult for themselves. They are the only people who can go onto the pitch there and change their destiny. Do I think they will do so? It's at 80-20%. The 20% in football.
It means that they have it in them.
Yes, they are very capable.
Because,
you see, anytime they've played Man City under Arteta, City have not completely dominated them.
Yeah.
I've saw them play, at least in the past.
They've lost 1-0,
the
I
last
think.
game they played.
Yeah, even the last
They
game.
lost
they
1-0 in
lost
that game, right?
No, 2-1.
And they missed a lot of chances.
They missed a lot of chances. So they need to go there believing they
That they
can
can win
win.
that game.
Xhaka will be back. His experience will be needed. Look, on the Partey issue, I didn't think Partey had a bad game. No. Because if you look at the goals they conceded, on which of them are you going to blame him for? I think those flanking him, the manager had the wrong players around him. So he was always comfortable giving the ball to Odegaard and not giving the ball to Vieira.
Making Odegaard easier to mark out.
Easier to mark out.
Yep.
But if Xhaka was there, or if that had been Trossard, come and take. Because, you see, because of holding two, if you watch Partey, he's not bumping forward like he would have done
Trying to
occasionally.
play it safe most of the time.
And then, let me just say this. There were moments in that game where I felt that on the build-up, the centre-back, Magalhaes, should have joined the attack on the blind side of Southampton. That would have been given, that instruction should have come from the coaches. That look, now on, when we build, Magalhaes will be arriving.
And he's actually good doing that kind of stuff.
They don't expect him to be there.
Yeah.
The game got to the stage where they should have been
Sending in an
bold
extra
enough.
one.
But I think
risk
no one wants to leave Rob Holding alone at the back.
No, but that's what
I
I'm
think
saying.
that's
You
the
see,
fear.
maybe at the end of the day,
Yeah.
anytime he goes, you see, look, you tell Ben White to push in a little bit so that he will support Holding. And Holding instructions should be basic. Don't complicate issues. When it comes, let it go. So you see, look, I watched Sir Alex Ferguson. There were moments where he threw Vidic up front.
Let's wrap it.
I watched Jose Mourinho. There were moments where he threw John Terry up front. Just to make sure that there was that
Extra numbers up front. So the Arsenal issues properly broken down. But like I said, we have a road show at the Cosmopolitan El Bean Plaza Wednesday. We'll be there at 6 p.m. You can join us after work. We should get some drinks, some grills, enjoy the game. The most important game of the season. Don't say I didn't do anything for you.
We want them to come with the ladies.
Thank you very much.
It's very important.
No, it's a corporate night. So you
Corporate
don't have,
night.
You don't have
Don't
the
come
problem.
alone.
Thank you very much. Coach has given you the word. Bring the corporate leaders around.
It's very important.
Thank you very much. Let's get to some other action and let's get to the FA Cup this time. Manchester City, they were up against Sheffield United. They have booked their slots in the final. Riyad Mahrez really had himself a time. Welcome back. Let me just read a few messages before we go on to that one. Aaron Fongbawi says that any team that wants to win the Premier League needs to go almost unbeaten because of Man City. Peps, your standard is too much. Rosa from Oyarifa says, where is our ball playing Maguire? Well, we'll get to the United game in a bit there, but let me just get your thoughts on this one. Straightforward win for Manchester City, really. Mahrez doing the business, but I can't help but notice how much they play their stars in every competition. Haaland got a taste of this. Grealish got a taste of this. Mahrez got a taste of this. They still have Champions League and a crucial phase of the Premier League to finish.
And they have 2 extra Premier League games. I mean, apart from this midweek, I don't believe Arsenal have any more midweek games. It's going to be weekend.
Yeah.
But then City are going to have, between now and the end of the season, about 4 midweek games. So 2 Champions League and 2 league games midweek. So I think that might be Arsenal's saving grace, that the kind of games and the kilometers on their legs will kind of work on Man City. But look, I think their team is in great form, so he doesn't want to break. Look, when it's not broken, you don't have to fix it, as they always say. So the team is winning, the system is working. You keep the same players, you keep the chemistry, you keep them going, you keep the confidence, you keep winning. Yeah. And I think it will work out. And part of it is also that if you are able to get a big lead in the 30th minute, by the 30th minute, you can play the second half at a lower tempo. So even though you've played a full game, you might have played the second half at 70, 60%, which means that your legs are a bit rested. So it's almost like you've played maybe closer to 60 minutes or 70 minutes in real intensity. Yeah. Those are the little margins, and maybe that's why he doesn't want to change the team, because he'd rather take an early lead and then cool the game down. Yeah. You score one goal early, and if you score one goal early, you don't push as hard. You are a bit more relaxed. You don't press as hard. I think those are the considerations per pass, that I'd rather get the early lead and cool the game down than have my players have to come in and push in the last few minutes and maybe overexert themselves. So maybe that's the thinking, but it works for them, because if you get those early goals, you get the goals fast. You don't have to play as much intensity, and it's cool. So that's why I think the game plan is. But they have a lot of games coming up relatively, so we'll see how that plays out.
Lots of games coming. Let's get to that game between Manchester United and Brighton and Hove Albion. Regulation time, extra time, all played out, Barron, and then it went to penalties. United coming out superior in that one, almost spotless, I must say. Let's get to the highlight. So after a really hard-fought game, Brighton and Hove Albion succumbed on penalties. United have been led to 2 finals in the first season of Eric Ten Hag. First, it was the Carabao Cup final, which they have wrapped up nicely in their locker. And then they have the big one against their sworn rivals, Manchester City. Can they navigate that task? Coach says that this is the perfect final.
Exactly, it is. And I'm sure those people in charge of the FA Cup themselves.
It's a dream final.
It's a dream final for them.
Yeah.
In terms of economic, everything points at the quality of the football, the 2 opposition. We expect it to be a super final. And for me, as a Man United fan, I was hoping that we will get to the final to stop Man City from winning the treble. Because United, as we speak, is the only team in England to have won the proper triple. The FA Cup, the Champions League, and the league in 1999. As it stands, Pep Guardiola's men are on track, but thankfully they've got Real Madrid to deal with, and they've got Man United to deal with, in order for them to be able to.
And Arsenal can still win the league.
And Arsenal can still win the league. So it is not home and dry. But look, if you look at the football, it was an absolutely brilliant game. If you're a coach, you enjoyed every second of this. Every second of this on the part of the Brighton's manager, on the part of Ten Hag. You can see the 2 coaches were very, very smart. The Brighton coach, De Zerbi, insisted on his philosophy. Eric Ten Hag had to be a bit more pragmatic on the day. Yeah, I've always said, I like coaches like that. If you look at, or if you accept that this is what you believe in, this is the way the game is supposed to be played. But if you look at what is in front of you, and you need to adjust yourself to enable you cope and get a result, I prefer coaches who will do that. So on the day, United were happy to allow Brighton to have the ball. Because don't forget, the 2 centre-back pair, makeshift, not the regulars in Martinez and Varane. But in midfield, United had their 3 or their first choice midfielder on parade, with Casemiro, Eriksen, and then Bruno Fernandes. Along the line, Eriksen, due to fitness, got substituted, and Fred was introduced into the game. All they needed to do was to make sure that the most influential players of Brighton don't see the game, especially in the final attacking third. One of who, Sulemash. The other one, Mitoma. Mitoma. Wan-Bissaka again proved today.
What a game.
That 1v1, he's the best in the business. No matter, because I've seen him, I've played against Mbappe, I've seen him played against Neymar, I've seen him played against, name the very skillful wingers that you can think of. And this guy, the Mitoma boy, he did his thesis in dribbling. Maybe most people don't know that. At the university, his thesis was on how to get the ball, face the opponent, and then
one of my best dribblers to watch.
So he's been dribbling every Dick, Tom, and Harry.
It's not a joke how well he dribbles. And that's why Brighton have been so successful.
Exactly.
They know that if they isolate him one-on-one with their fullback, in fact, until Wan-Bissaka went off, Mitoma was not in the game.
Had not completed one dribble. So that is the credit to Ten Hag and Wan-Bissaka, of course. So you can have the ball, They will make sure we block your most influential players and force you to do the things that you wouldn't do on a normal day. And that is tactics. That is proper coaching. So the game went all the way to what? Penalties.
Yeah.
And it was clear that David De Gea will hardly make a save, although he had 2-3 directions right. And I normally don't like games being decided in this manner because it happens to get one player not to sleep well for the next 2 days. And I hate that. But under the circumstance, you take it because that became the only outcome or the only means by which the game could be determined. And look, I'm happy we have a Manchester derby in the FA Cup final. And I know that is going to be a spectacle. If I'm the coach, one of my advice to Ten Hag will be telling him there should be sensation on that day. Because people will be willing to go and play in the Champions League final.
Yeah.
So you choose between the Champions League final and the FA Cup final.
I want to say something about the game. I think Brighton did very well on the offensive end. I think there were a few moments where if their touch was right, they would have had very good chances.
Maybe only one.
No, there was the Undav one.
Yeah,
and
that's
the Mitoma one as well. If you remember.
In extra, the one he came
kind of
exactly.
So they had some moments. So I think it's a credit to them and the work they've done this season. Because look, if you start at the beginning of the season, Brighton will be challenging for top 4, FA Cup semi-final. I think a lot of people now have
and look, just a minute.
From the way they play, managers as well.
From the way they play their game, they can give any team.
I don't think they go into any game these days fearing any.
No. If you go and look at the stats, pass completion, Man City, Brighton. That's how it looks in the Premier League. So they trust themselves on the ball, and they've showed it. And look, where we are at the season, you can't say it's an anomaly, small sample size. If you are ranked somewhere at this stage of the season, it's because you deserve to be there. You have shown it. So they are, when it comes to even passing, they can outpass Arsenal on their game. So this is not a joke team. So when they came and they were playing their game, I was not surprised that Man U decided to kind of sit back because Man U cannot compete in that way. But look, at the end of the day, it didn't work out for them. Solly match, very unfortunate. His penalty went over there, but I think he was the only left-footed penalty taker for Brighton.
No, they had 2, and the left back.
Yes, Estupinian, and they both went the same way. And I think that's what got him. I think because De Gea anticipated as a left-footer, he would go there. And I think when he saw De Gea going there, he kind of panicked a bit to try to get a bit more power, and it just went over. But it is what it is, and because the penalties were very high quality. Very high quality penalties.
Just one miss deciding it. Let's get to the highlights of one of the Premier League games of the weekend. It was Newcastle United up against Tottenham Hotspur. And boy, Tottenham's season is collapsing right before our eyes. Antonio Conte, everything he said, playing out really, really clearly and in color. Let's get to the highlights of that game. It was an outright pasting. Enjoy the highlights. We'll come back and probably take a break before we digest this one. Wow. 5 goals conceded in 21 minutes of football. I think Tottenham, I said it here last week, I feel like they want the season to end. With the way things are going, if they had their own way, they wouldn't have to play football.
In fact, they wanted this game to end after 8 minutes. So.
They don't have a coach. And it speaks volumes of how badly run they have been managed. Daniel Levy, with all his years of experience, you don't sack Antonio Conte or you don't part ways with Antonio Conte and keep his assistant.
That was a very strange decision.
Very, very strange. At this level, it is not done. So very shocking to me. Now, the manager or the one in charge, he did something today that none of us expected him to do. This is a team that have not played 4-back
for about a year and a half.
Now, even if you decide to go a back 4, you should have proper fullbacks and proper centre back. You don't go and ask Perisic
to play left back.
To go and play as a left back and ask, is it Pozo?
Poro.
Pozo or Poro.
When Poro was in Sporting, after he left Man City, his whole time in Sporting. Sporting have played a 3-back most of that time. So he played right wing back most of that time.
He's used to playing right wing. And even in this first team, he's been playing as a wing back, right wing back.
He isn't much of a defender, to be honest.
Exactly.
He was sleeping on some of the goals.
You are going to a top 4 rival. We all know how difficult Newcastle can be at home.
Yeah.
That is where I expect that you make yourself very difficult to beat. You don't go there and go and sell yourself to them. So the first error came from the coach.
Yeah.
From the selection of players.
And don't forget, let's even talk about the centre backs. Now,
Yes.
when you play Romero and Eric Dyer as a centre back is on and off. So when he's in a back 3, he looks okay.
He looks okay.
But
being
when
in the
he's
middle of the two other centre
in a
backs.
back 2, it becomes a bit more difficult. So that was another miss. And even Romero, at club level, he's barely played in a back 4. We saw it at international level, but international level is a bit slower. The game is a bit different. So when you're playing a more fast-paced game, he's not played. He doesn't have, actually, I don't think, let me even try and think back. He was at Atalanta, back 3.
Yeah, he was
came
at
to Spurs, back 3.
3.
So at club level,
He's always
barely
played
ever
back
played
he's
in
three.
a
barely
back
ever played in a back
So-
with a
Back
centre-back
three.
partnership.
So it's clear that the coaching was wrong.
Set them up to
Set
fail.
them up to fail. And look, the body language. Oh my goodness. So Antonio Conte said it. You see, when you concede 2 goals in less than 5 minutes,
Yeah.
somebody should be screaming at every Dick, Tom, and Harry there.
Wake up.
Wake up! What is this?
Yeah.
This is not acceptable. The coach should be throwing his hands on the touchline, getting them to understand that this will not be acceptable. But then the players themselves know that this is a backup coach. He's not going to be our coach in the long term.
Yeah.
His days
We
are
have nothing
serious.
to prove
You
to
see,
him.
players too, they are very funny. Come on, who is this man? Come on, get out. You are almost gone. You are a goner. Are you going to tell us what to do?
We see this all the time. I'm sure when we're in university, when your teacher is out of the class, people start talking more. It's human nature.
You see, in the game of football, at times I don't see or I don't understand why players do that. They end to do
because it's their own pride.
You need to play for the badge.
Yeah.
And today I think
And I think what you're saying is important because, like you're saying, they look at Stellini and look at him like,
come on, man.
You won't be here next season.
What are you doing here?
I don't need to fight for your attention.
Exactly.
If it was a new manager in place, you know that perhaps if you don't play well, you're probably on your way out.
Ten Hag told the Man United player after Thursday.
Yeah.
He was asked, "Did you show them the hairdryer?" He said, "I made it clear to them that this is the worst performance any team of mine have showcased in Europe." And he was asked, "Does it mean that some of the players are playing for the future, for their future?" He said, "Look, as a United player, it's about consistency week in, week. If you're a United player and you hear your coach say such a thing, after such a shambolic performance, you play like you did today against Brighton."
Well, let's get our second break. We'll come back and then we'll have some interesting highlights to digest because Thomas Tuchel, after getting appointed Julian Nagelsmann's successor, is doing his best to throw the league away in Germany. And then we'll check out Borussia Dortmund, who themselves are a former Thomas Tuchel side. They have their tails up. They look like they want to win the title this season. So quick break, we'll come back. We'll get into the Bundesliga. Welcome back. This is Scorecard here on Citi TV. Let's now get to the German Bundesliga, which has been declared the king of the farmers' leagues because Bayern have 10 consecutive titles. Dortmund are trying their possible best to do something about that tagline this season. They were up against Frankfurt. Frankfurt have a very decent team. Santos Borre, Kolomwani, Evan Indika. They have quite, a team to stand up against any opponent. But Dortmund are on a roll. They mean business this time, and it was 4-0 without answer. Let's get to the highlights of that one. Wow, looks like Bayern Munich are falling apart at the seams. Let's start from that one. Tuchel was supposed to save what I didn't think was a season that needed saving, and then all of a sudden, everything has collapsed. Is this a trigger of that Mane incident? Because I know how much chemistry means to winning. I know how much continuity means to winning. Where do you place this Bayern problem?
If you want to say continuity, the continuity was sacking the coach at this point of the season. I think if that's where we are with the road we are going to go down, there was no need to change the coach. And hindsight is 2020. I felt that it was a personal issue the coach and the managers of the club had. He had issues with Oliver Kahn and the rest, and they felt that he wasn't the right man to lead. So they kind of decided that, look, we want Thomas Tuchel, so let's go and get him before another team comes in the summer. So they were making a preemptive strike, but I think it's unbalanced their season. And look, Thomas Tuchel has already lost as many games as Nagelsmann did in the previous 37 games. In 7 games. He's only won 2 of his 7 games.
Wow.
So when you look at it like that, you're thinking to yourself, why did they make this change? And that's why I said it was clearly political, personal, whatever you want to call it, but it was not, for me, they're on the pitch issues. I think they looked maybe a bit flat, but the results were coming. And I think they would have won some of these more routine games a bit more easily, because I think now the team is now trying to get into the Tuchel mode, and it's causing some issues. So that's a difficult one. But I still don't trust Dortmund. I think we've seen Dortmund do this a few times. I think there's maybe 5 games left in the season. There's about 5 games left in the season. Yeah, so it will be a very interesting 5 games. But as I always say, what you want is to have your future in your hands, and Dortmund have it in their hands. Bayern don't, and that's a good position to be in for Dortmund. And Bayern can't afford any slip-ups, and I think it will look very poor on Tuchel. Because you come into a team that we basically say that anyone can win the league with Bayern. Bayern have won the league for 10
We always said that Mane was leaving Liverpool to finally win some silverware, and then he moves to Bayern, and silverware looks to be going to the next
and
club.
I feel bad for Tuchel in a way, because he's a victim of circumstance in a way, because the DFB Pokal exit, I think losing 2-1 with a late penalty like that, you can't completely blame the coach. There are just some days like that. But it looks poor that you are coming in to supposedly save the season.
And all of a sudden, everything is collapsing.
And you are not even 10 games in, and you've basically gone from, you're in the driving seat for the league, out of the cup, out of the Champions League, and now Dortmund the driving seat. So it doesn't look good on Tuchel. And I'm hearing, these things, there are rumors, but there's rumors that supposedly now they are thinking they made a mistake with hiring Tuchel, which is insane to me, because you rushed this decision, and now things are not going well. You are going to make another crazy decision.
If you think about it, Bayern have a very high attrition rate when it comes to coaches. I don't remember a time where, take away Ancelotti and maybe Pep, a lot of the guys who have come there have spent maybe 1 season, fired. Nico Kovac, fired. Hansi Flick, fired.
Hansi Flick left for Germany. Yeah. He's the only one.
They are expected to win the league.
Yeah.
So normally, for the coaches that they tend to fire,
it's because of the Champions League.
That is why I was shocked, because at the time of firing Nagelsmann,
he's doing well.
He was in all 3
Probably had the best record in the
Champions League. I don't believe he was stopping the league. Goal in the Champions League.
He was stopping the league. He was still in the Champions League, ready to face.
Still in the cup.
Still in the cup.
Yeah.
Tuchel is not a bad coach. Let's make that
undone all of Nagelsmann's work.
Yeah, he's not a bad coach, but I think the timing of his appointment was wrong. So I agree with Susu when he said it was clear they were not going to renew Nagelsmann's contract. So they
just
saw
let
that
him ride out the season.
But they saw this man as an opportunity that other teams, any team at all, could go poach. And so that has caused the team. But look, this Bayern Munich team, there are lots of politicians in the playing body. I think the time has come for Tuchel himself to do a rebuild.
Explain that briefly.
Look, the likes of Thomas Muller.
Yep.
They've been around for too long a time.
In fact, they got Ancelotti fired.
They got Ancelotti fired. They got Kovac fired. They got Nagelsmann fired.
Because I remember the issue was not they were winning games. They felt that he was too relaxed in training.
Yes.
So was it Ian Robin who said that his son's under 10 team, their training is more intense than what Ancelotti has them doing?
They were doing well too.
So they are not impressed. So he has to go.
Thomas Muller, Kimmich, those guys, they're all politicians. And I think the earlier Tuchel reads the situation and try and change some of that.
I think Muller is the most dangerous because of his age. He's about 34 now.
And he's played there all his life.
He's been there as long as anyone.
Exactly.
Yeah, he's played all his life.
If you have a 34-year-old player, you cannot rely on him week in, week out. But he might not have accepted that. And I think we saw something similar with Cristiano Ronaldo, with Eric Ten Hag. That when you are a certain age, you cannot give that level of performance week in, week.
You need to be managed.
The truth is, even though you want to, your body is just not the same. You might
have the intent, but your body can't carry it.
For a 10-game stretch, in the past, Ronaldo used to play 9 games. He's playing excellent, and 1 game he plays well. Now it's gone down to about 7-6. And I think in his Man United days, even went down to lower because of the issues with their team. But when you can't accept that, you have declined. And I think a lot of coaches have been trying to kind of phase Muller out, and it's becoming a problem. So I think Muller especially, if he can't be made to accept that his time has passed, it can be a very big problem for any Bayern coach because he holds a lot of power in that dressing room.
Just a quick one on Dortmund. For once, I want to trust them. If they had Bayern to play, then I'll be wary.
That game is behind them now.
But that game is over. Your destiny is in your hand.
Yeah.
Win every game, you are champions of the Bundesliga.
Let's see how that plays out. Let me read some of your messages that have been coming through. This one here says, today again, another happy Sunday for me, watching and listening to this entertaining and educative program. Eid Mubarak to you all, especially Coach, whom I admire and enjoy so much. He knows a lot about his football. Could have been a really good coach. Name is Mohammed in Freetown, Sierra Leone. So Mohammed in Freetown says that he wants to see you on the touchline. Coach says that standards need to change in Ghana before he will take up any job in this country. This one here says, good evening, Ben. Happy for Man City winning. Can't wait for Haaland to score a hat-trick in the final against United. Ask Susu how he saw Ederson's performance in the 2 legs against Bayern, because he bashed him proper when the draw was made. This one is from Egusi Stew inside Cape Coast. Charlie, the guy is called Egusi Stew.
I mean, speaking of Ederson, I don't think there were too many chances from Bayern for him to save. But I would say he did what he had to do. I'll give him that.
In that second leg, there were some good saves.
You see, I like to look at a long view. I don't like to look at... And I'll bring some stats right now. And I wrote an article where I was talking about the title race. Ederson save rate is 62%.
Yeah.
And when you look at keepers who play 10 games, there's about 24 keepers who play 10 plus games. He ranks 20th out of 24 in terms of his save percentage. That's right. And he has the least work. Because if you rank all the keepers in the division who have even played a match, he has the least shots on target per game at 2.2. No, he's last by 1. So 2.2 shots on target a game.
It means that he's a keeper who is not busy.
He's not busy.
On the few occasions where the ball comes, he can't save the ball.
And then when you look at the post-shot XG, he's letting an extra 3.8 goals. That's in the Premier League.
Like that.
That's
so
not reliable.
He's not. So the shots he should even save, he's not saving. So I get when he has those good performances. It looks, but looking at the course of the season, there's probably some games where City have dropped points, where if Ederson had done his job, they would not be there. So that's how I look at it.
More messages coming. Rafael Vino from Taifa says that Tottenham sell the match. They just don't want United to be in the 3rd position. I don't know about that conspiracy theory. Jay from Koforidia.
People are saying that the Saudi money had come to Spain.
Jay from Koforidia says that even with the injury situation at United, Eric Kofi Ten Hag is still grinding out results. 2 trophies in his first season will be a good start. Quite impressive. Ten Hag has overachieved. We least expected this. We are going from the ultimate. We are going for the ultimate in the coming season. Big ups to Coach Name, you say? Okay.
I asked a question about the overachieving because someone on Twitter asked me and said that for him, the standards at Man U means that if Ten Hag wins 1 trophy and goes to the final, it's not overachievement. That because of the standards at Man U,
I think because of how things have fallen back in.
He said that the standards of Man U as a club means that this is par for the course. I didn't comment myself because I want to see how the season ends. But for me, I think unless they win the FA Cup in addition, I would still think Arsenal, based on what I've seen, have had a better season. That's my opinion. So I wouldn't say it's overachieving.
Man United win the Carabao Cup and then qualifies for Champions League. Arsenal don't win the league and qualify. Who's had a better season?
For me, I mean, even if you take from an Arsenal point, that would be a disappointing season for Arsenal.
Of course.
Especially having led
this long.
It would be disappointing, but I still think for me, I would rate Arsenal season high. I think if Man U add the FA Cup,
nobody remember.
That's
as a
my
player
opinion.
And as a manager, nobody remember who placed second. But everybody remember that in the season of this, there was a Carabao Cup that was won.
Fair enough. Let's read more messages. This one here says, good evening to you all. Congrats to our Starlets for winning the 4-Nation tournament. Chelsea is out of the Champions League. Man United also kicked out from a smaller team by a smaller team in the Europa League. What
European League landlords, he's calling smaller teams.
Doesn't work.
He says, I thank God. Reverend Leonard Avle from Lome in Togo. Yes. Yeah, Reverend is coach's good friend. Kweku from Amasaman says, hi guys, looking at their recent games, Arsenal fans will need to fast and pray for their team to beat City on Wednesday. Amofa Chemist, regular viewer from Suhum Roundabout, says Arsenal have really disappointed the people of London. They now have to beat City to win the league, which is impossible if they don't win the league this time, unless 10 years old. Chelsea will bounce back next season, trust me, you say. This one here from Julaposu, I think. I hope I got that right, from Apollonia. Says, good evening, guys. Please ask Coach how far will the takeover at United?
Yeah, I think coming Friday, there'll be the final bid.
Hey, how many bids?
No, that
It takes time.
this is the last bid. The Glazers have opened for the last bid.
The
and
Glazers are messing with everybody.
Atani is on record to have said the team
Is his.
So which means,
I like
and
that.
then as part of the third bid,
Yeah.
one thing that the Glazers are asking for is this: how soon can you release the cash? And Atani says, if it is approved today,
You'll get it tomorrow.
tomorrow the check is signed.
I like how you smile. And
I'm on the board.
I like how at home.
No more. I say I'm on the board. Every information I give is
In fact,
look,
I'm sure because of the Ramadan,
Yeah.
Sheikh Atani was a bit busy.
Atani says,
now Ramadan is over,
if
so he's
my
ready.
bid is accepted today, tomorrow I sign the
You
check
mean there's cash?
in drones.
This one here it says that Nanaya from Koforidia says that my Sunday nights are incomplete without scorecard. Please, you guys should explain to me why the Union Berlin second goal was ruled for offside. Or you both do me dirty. We didn't do the highlight of that one, but it looks like this is a personal investment matter. This one here says, what is happening to Arsenal? They can't make us lose huge investments like this. We will catch them if they don't pick up form. Isaac from Labadi, Charlie. Arsenal really stressing investors out. Let's do some boxing to close it out. It was a catchweight bout. It had been in the works for a long time. There had been a lot of trash talking back and forth. Gervonta Tank Davis might as well be the face of boxing these days. Ryan Garcia, up and coming, looks like a future Hall of Famer as well. He was undefeated heading into this bout. Gervonta Davis said that he would put an end to that, and that is exactly what he did. Body shot ended the bout. It was a knockout victory. Tank Davis picks this one. Really exciting bout. You wouldn't watch anything bigger than that this weekend. Let's get to the highlights of that one. So Tank coming out victorious in that one. Floyd Mayweather must be a happy man, but Gervonta Davis proving why he's the best now. Ryan Garcia had a 24-0 record before this, and so you know that this was a big bout. Now, Davis himself has taken his win record to 27 knockouts in 29 fights.
Look, he's a proper boxer.
Yeah.
And if you are being managed by Floyd Mayweather, the standard is there.
Yeah.
It is a demand that you fight at a certain
The highest level.
level.
Yeah.
And look, you could see the punch that ended it, isn't it? When he got the ribs.
Yeah.
You could
Punched
clearly
the rib
see-
cage.
Ooh, he could see in the guy's eyes that
It was a wrap. Yeah.
That was it.
It was
and
not
if,
coming
look,
back from
if he had not more or less knelt down,
Yeah.
the punishment would have
Yeah.
been
No,
more.
he could possibly have passed out.
Yeah,
I
because
think
he
knelt
wasn't
down because
breathing right.
He needed to stabilize
Yeah,
himself.
and watch the way his ribs just changed. It went in and out, sort of in and out like that, Charlie. No, but you saw it, isn't it? When the punch landed, it went in and out like that.
No, that was
Come
a
on,
serious
That
punch.
was
I have to
devastating.
say, personally, I find boxing difficult to watch because
No, it's a good sport.
They are really,
Yo, listen.
They are really,
and I always say that people pay attention a lot to the facial punches. The body is where a lot of the damage can be done.
Look,
If somebody
I'm
keeps
a gunman.
if
This is what we do
Yeah.
in our living.
yeah. Yeah.
I like boxing a lot.
Yeah. If
In
somebody
fact, I
keeps,
love it.
If somebody keeps working your ribs,
Ribs.
or working your body the whole bout, and
You
it gives
feel it, and eventually you drop your rib.
Yeah.
Then your face become exposed.
When they punch it several times, the wind just goes out of your system. You don't have any heart anymore.
You see, and again, if you watch the punch,
Yeah.
he was like this.
Yeah.
When
Do you
the
remember
ribs
there
went-
was actually one earlier where he got one in the face?
Yes.
So like
Destabilized them.
and
Yeah.
you see, if he had not the next punch, because the moment he went, he dropped his jab
Yeah.
down. So the next punch
it would have gone to your
straight
face.
to
Yeah.
the face.
I mean,
And that would have
And you know
ended it.
when part of the reason when they knock people out is that when your teeth kind of click in a certain way, it means that there's too much force in your head, so your body shuts down automatically to save yourself.
You need to save yourself. That's what
He
it is.
couldn't breathe well.
Yeah.
Once that was become.
I wouldn't be shocked if there's a rematch.
No.
Works.
Why should there be a rematch?
I mean, you know how boxers are.
But they were fighting
He's
for
moved
the
on.
unbeaten,
Yeah.
right? Now
So
he's
he's moved on.
so he has to go and.
It depends. You see, there could be more trash talking tomorrow. They could find out that they could make more money.
Where does Garcia come from here? Because once you've lost that undefeated, you know, there's some procedure about two undefeated boxers.
Yeah.
If it had ended in a draw,
or if it had not been that clear,
or a split decision, I think I can see Garcia saying, "Look, I was cheated by at this time.
He definitely did admit in the post bout that his opponent was superior. So you're definitely right in that regard. But hey, I'm saying this right. I've watched very few bouts where the winner has controlled the bout in this manner from round 1 right up to round 7. It looks like they had everything really meticulously planned out. He executed his game plan to perfection. So big ups to Tank Davis. Big ups to Arsenal Football Club. For all of you watching us out there, like I said, roadshow this Wednesday. Midweek roadshows are very, very rare. But this is a can't miss. This is the most important match of the season. It's Manchester City hosting Arsenal at the Etihad. We are at the Cosmopolitan, El Bean Plaza opposite Fiesta Royale. It's evening, 6 p.m. You should be able to catch us. If there's traffic, park your car and come and watch football. After the football, the road would have eased up. You can go all the way. Bring the corporate leaders. Coach says I should tell you. Don't say I didn't do anything good
don't
for
come
you.
alone.
Please, it's not
Come
right.
and spend. Come and
spend.
dish out cash.
And as they said, I'll be there no matter what.
Thank you very much.
If you're a man and you have money, you should chop with the woman.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Coach. Thank you, Susu. Thank you out there for doing the viewing with us today. My name is Benjamin Nketiah. Thank you to everybody, camera, lights, directors, you viewers out there who made this happen. Let's meet at the Cosmopolitan on Wednesday. Arsenal, Man City should be a cracker. Thank you very much.